Hi, I'm Summer Tothill, and every week I do a Q&A on my Instagram stories with my followers where I answer questions about gender equality. I compile these here on YouTube in long form so that you don't have to spend your day tapping through Instagram stories. Let's get started with the first question. I'm annoyed if a Tinder match asks if I'm feminine and wear dresses. I am enough in myself.
Okay, so you have not framed this as a question, but I'm okay with that because what you say is true. You are enough. But I'm going to act as though you have asked, am I enough? Or is it okay if I'm annoyed? Because I think there's probably a lot of women out there who have had men ask quite audacious things on dating apps or do audacious things to them and are questioning themselves about if it's okay to be annoyed and if they really are enough. I think we give men the benefit of the doubt too much, but I am going to advocate a slight bit of doubt benefit for a moment here and say that when men ask weird, seemingly audacious questions, sometimes the best course of action is to just ask them what they mean and keep asking until they have either clarified that what they meant wasn't what you assumed or they have exposed the misogyny behind what they said. It can be very funny to keep asking a man what he means when he has said something that reads as quite misogynistic or sexist, because as you keep asking him to clarify and clarify and clarify, it becomes more and more and more obvious to him that he can't hide the misogynistic assumptions or assertions behind what he has said. But I think you and all women are right to be annoyed and right to be wary about this line of questioning and about any line of questioning men take that seeks to understand kind of what kind of woman you are, or what sort of aesthetic you will embody, or what sort of behavior you intend to engage in, particularly as regards any kind of domestic or caring labor, particularly when they do not know you. To me, it speaks of, and it all comes back to the ways that men objectify women and are taught to objectify women and not see us as human. That sounds extreme, but it's actually quite a simple concept to understand when you understand that men are effectively taught that women exist for them. And so one of the ways that this manifests is that they really think that they can both project how they want a woman to look onto any random woman and manipulate her into looking that way. But they also believe that the way a woman looks describes her as a person. They think that our bodies and our appearance is a direct representation of who we are and how we behave. And that doesn't just come down to dress style, it comes down to even the way our bodies are shaped, such as bigger breasts somehow meaning you are more sexual, even though that's just genetics. So it makes sense that men sometimes choose women on the dating apps or in person as though they are picking from a lineup of Barbies. They choose the one that looks the way that they think correlates with certain behaviors and attitudes, and they decide that that's the type of person you must be. They also can treat us like Barbies in the way where they expect us to adopt certain looks. In your case, asking if you dress feminine basically carries an undertone that he would expect someone to dress feminine. I think it's fair to assume that he wasn't asking if you dress feminine as a way to ferret out women who dress feminine. And indeed, if you're on a dating profile, he can see what you look like and how you dress. I think it's very clear to me that men ask these sorts of questions knowing full well that there is a manipulative intent, that they are in a roundabout way stating what they expect of you. I don't know what gives men the audacity to state what they expect of a woman they have never met, do not know, and has not necessarily even indicated that she cares about his opinion or wants to please him in any way. Except I do know what gives them the audacity. It's patriarchy. Patriarchy leads them to believe correctly that they are entitled to have whatever they want and to do whatever they want with no consequences. So yes, you are right to be annoyed. You are enough yourself. You do not exist for men's edification and amusement.
I'm sick of men. I don't want to prioritize them anymore, but I'm single and I'm scared that I'll be lonely when I get old. Help.
Women have been conditioned to prioritize obtaining a romantic relationship with a man over any other pursuit in our lives, and that all aspects of our lives will be critically compromised if we do not. And I am always here to remind you that that is simply not true. The reality is that the best support you can have in life is a solid group of friends. Our children and husbands can so easily disappoint us, but our friends, if they are real friends, rarely do. And being in love with a man, especially when it's not going so great, can be some of the loneliest time of your life. So if you focus on spending your energy cultivating a solid group of friends, you will never be without love or support or someone to bring you soup when you're sick. Which is much more than we can say about our romantic relationships with men, which more often than not undermine our happiness, burden us with excess labor, and then abandon us once we have sacrificed our youth and all of our energy to that pursuit.
How to consciously combat internalized misogyny within yourself.
Let's start with what is internalized misogyny. Well, we all know that misogyny effectively translates to woman hate, right? So internalized misogyny is when you are one of the people who is a target of misogyny by virtue of being a woman or perceived as a woman or feminine, but you also express and feel misogynistic behaviors. It's basically when you enact the same kind of patriarchal and misogynistic oppression on other women that you would benefit yourself from being free from. Almost all women have internalized misogyny. I sometimes get women trying to tell me that they have none and that they're immune to it, and I don't think that's possible. I think that's a little bit of self-delusion there. And a quick point to note, men cannot have internalized misogyny because they are not women. What they have is just plain old misogyny. I think the most effective ways to tackle internalized misogyny involve really making a conscious effort to think about and analyze the way that you view and think about other women. And to check yourself and catch yourself thinking uncharitable things about other women, to check yourself when you feel the impulse to not believe a woman, yes, about things like her experience of sexual assault, but also just about her lived experience of the world and anything she has experienced. We can check our internalized misogyny by making sure we think well of the women we are related to by law, such as our sisters-in-law, our mothers-in-law, our cousins' wives. We tend to apply really strong standards of misogyny to the women that are closest to us. And we really have to get down deep and dirty inside our own psyche and try to identify when we are doing that. The other thing I think you have to remember, and this is a tough pill for some women to swallow, is that you are not special. You are not special. You will not be spared misogyny in a patriarchal society. If you are a white woman, you will be spared some of the worst of it. But as I always say, making yourself an ally to the patriarchy will not make the patriarchy an ally to you. If you are a woman. If you are a man, it will work perfectly. So what that can look like is basically, if you yourself know that you were never crazy in leaving men for the ways they treated you and in getting angry at them for the ways that they abused and exploited you, then there's a pretty good chance that the next guy you date's ex is also not a crazy woman. It looks like giving women the benefit of the doubt the same way you give yourself the benefit of the doubt and the ways that you give men the benefit of the doubt. It looks like allying with women even though you would potentially stand to gain some power if you allied with men. It looks like believing women when you would need yourself to be believed. And it looks like understanding that you think like all other women. Don't get into pick-me behavior. You won't be spared the patriarchy in any way you behave. So you need to work towards strengthening the position of other women because that will also help to strengthen your position. Tackling internalized misogyny is all about liking, thinking well of, and believing other women.
That's it for this Q&A. Thank you so much for listening. Find me on Instagram at summertothill. That's summer with an O, spelt the same way as you see in this YouTube channel. I can't wait to see you there.